Hey, what's going on, you guys? Simchal Fitness here. So, I went ahead and I think I have discovered the cure for cancer. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have. So, I'm going to go ahead and disclose that in this video. As a disclaimer, I'm not a medical professional. I don't never said I was. Don't pretend to be. So, if you're looking for any of that medical jargon, how inner workings of chromosomes work, or DNA, or all that crap, well, guess what? Then you came to the wrong channel. You should go to Vegan Gains channel for all that medical mumbo jumbo, maybe on a Dr. Phil or something. This is Big Sim going to tell you how to cure cancer. It's real simple, and I'm being 100% serious. First, you got to understand how cancer works. Cancer is the erratic growth of cells dividing against the body's code. So the body says certain cells should grow, right, in a certain way, and cancer comes along and multiplies those cells erratically without control. And that is pretty much the fundamentals of how cancer works. However, there's one thing you should know about cancer, and that is that even the top researchers don't know jack squat about cancer, about curing cancer. They don't know anything, which puts me in a position to make just as good to propose just as good of a cure for cancer as the leading top researchers, because none of these guys know jack. They don't know what the heck they're talking about. They don't, and anybody who's had a family member who has what to do with cancer knows that doctors don't know what they're talking about. They're all clueless. They haven't gotten any more closer to discovering how to cure cancer than how to jump to light speed. Believe me with that. Believe me, they are truly that clueless. And I feel like one of the main reasons why they're so clueless is because they're trying to dissect this on the chromosome DNA level, something which is so complex and complicated they can't even begin to understand. But they're going about it all the wrong way. You see, if you want to block something, if you want to prevent something, you need to go about doing it in the simplest way possible. It's an engineering. There's a term for an engineering. Basically, if you're trying to build a bridge, you want to build that bridge in the easiest, most direct way possible. You don't want to, in other words, you don't want to try to overcomplicate something. That's what I'm trying to say. And I feel like they're doing everything to overcomplicate when it comes to trying to cure cancer. Right? They're not going back to the basics. They need to go back to the basics. You see, when cells start dividing erratically because you have a tumor or a growth, it's because they are getting a certain type of blood supply. You see, when cancer starts to grow, it can only grow to about the size of a grain of salt or sugar before it needs to have a blood supply which actually physically grows, right? It grows to that growth, right? An actual artery grows onto that growth. So the doctors in the community, anybody who knows anything about cancer knows what I'm talking about. An artery grows from the main artery to foster that little sand particle of cancer, and that's what gives it the nutrients to continue. And the big problem is that newfound growing artery becomes or what has been grown to deliver nutrients to that grain of sand. It becomes a two-way bridge, right? Where the grain of sand also not only does it become bigger, a lot bigger, because it gets the nutrients, but if it gets strong enough, it starts sending rogue cells back down the bloodstream, infecting other areas of the body. That's why cancer spreads, right? So what you need to do, and what doctors seriously need to do, is instead of focusing on killing the cancer itself, because that's going to be really hard to do unless you cut it out or poison it or either shoot it with radiation, which, as you see how that works, right? What the doctors need to do is they need to address the problem at the root of the problem, literally. They need to attack those new arteries, those new blood vessels that are delivering the nutrients to the erratic cells. And once they do that, it's going to cut off the nutrient supply, and these things will go dormant. I think it's I don't know what is it called, remission or something. Basically, these cells, these erratic growing cells will be dormant because they won't be receiving the proper nutrients, right? So the question remains, well, how do you go ahead and block off the arteries? Okay, good job, Big Sam. Now what? How do I go about blocking the arteries to the main nutrients of these erratically growing cells? Well, that's easy. We do it all the time. In fact, America is the leading cause of that. All we do is, we eat cheeseburgers, right? We go ahead and we build up cholesterol, blocks the arteries, get a heart attack, right? Well, I think we have to do the same exact thing, just on a much smaller level. Essentially, giving the cancerous cells an in-house heart attack. And I'm not even kidding. Just going ahead and blocking off the route that's delivering the nutrients to those erratic growing cells, one at a time. And it might take a long time, right? It might that type of treatment, because the tumor might have grown long enough where there's multiple pathways of arteries and blood leading to that specific spot of growing cells. But at least, if you block off one at a time, it will slowly cut off the blood supply, and definitely the giant cell membrane of erratically growing cells, or whatever, not membrane, but the erratically growing cell pocket will eventually not have the nutrients to sustain itself, and it will start to go dormant. So anyway, that's what I think, and I think they should go ahead and inject some cholesterol directly into the growing cells, the erratically growing cells, or right at the pathway of those blood vessels. This way, they block it off, effectively giving, like I said, it's like a cancer the cancerous cells a heart attack, effectively. That's what I think they should do, and I think it would be really, really simple. And I obviously, if somebody's too far along in the cancer phases, there's nothing you can do. It's too far, right? But for people who are not that far along, right, who are medium in how far their cancer has progressed, I think this could be a great idea. And I don't hear anybody talking about it. Nobody's ever mentioned it before. I bet you didn't even know that there was a whole circulatory system that was built in order to foster that growing cluster of cells. I bet you didn't even know that. But you see, that's how little the doctors let on. That's how little the doctors even know about this stuff. They're totally in the dark. They're totally, they don't know what the heck they're doing. And anybody who's experienced this knows that firsthand. All right. Well, hopefully somebody from the medical world will see this video and be like, damn, that guy's got a really good idea. We're going to go ahead and do that. Once again, my answer, injecting cells with cholesterol. That's the idea for equivalent substance. I'm sure, either way, I'm sure you can play around with that idea enough where somebody who's knowledgeable in the medical field can make something like that work. All right, that's my 2 cents on it. Peace.